Doug Collins, former Republican congressman from Georgia and former Judiciary Committee ranking member, joins me now. The Missouri Attorney General, who we just heard from there in that report, Andrew Bailey, has said that this injunction is a huge win in the fight to defend our most fundamental freedoms. Let's just talk about the freedom of free speech, okay? Because that is something that this White House has tried to tamper down. So this is a real huge win for free speech.
It's gigantic. I think they've actually lowballed what they're actually saying on how important this is. Because think about this. The Constitution says that the government will not interfere with free speech. This is the issue of the government doing this. You know, we throw free speech around, unfortunately, way too much between individuals. I have my free speech right. You know, look, the Constitution says the government cannot come in and impinge your free speech. And that's exactly what they're doing here. If you look at this actual filing in this case, the government was actually going to these social media companies, naming specific names and accounts and saying, why have they not been demoted? Why have they gotten so many hits? Why are you still not doing this? Treating them as employees of the federal government. You can't get any more direct violation of the First Amendment than the government doing what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's actually amazing that they actually had a disinformation committee at this White House to try to sort of weed through fact and fiction. But yet anything that goes on social media, like Facebook, for example, during COVID, as you recall, once this president took office, was being taken down. I mean, on Facebook, anybody who actually went on there and just opined, not a political figure, I'm just talking average citizen, would go on there and maybe question the vaccine or question the masks, they would get in trouble by social media. And that dictation was coming from Washington, which is really scary.
It is scary because the statement from the White House actually scares me more, Julie, when they said, we're taking responsible actions, and then they went on with what they're talking about. Okay, who determines responsible actions? Okay, is it the Democrat White House? Is it Joe Biden? What about all his, missteps and misquotes and everything else? They don't want to say anything about that. But this is the concern. When you have government deciding based on the political preference of whoever is in charge, this is exactly why the First Amendment protections against government intrusion exist. If this I do not understand why the left does not have their hair lit on fire right now, and everybody else, because this is just wrong. And I don't care what side of the fence, political fence you're on. If you let this happen now, all those on the left who are being quiet right now, then they just think what would happen if a Republican or a conservative did the same thing. They would be screaming up and down. This is a time for us to come together, put aside political differences, and say, quit doing it.
Oh, my God. The mainstream media would be having a field day. They'd be freaking out. They'd also be leading with the story on Hunter Biden, and you know that's not the case. The New York Post has this op-ed with a headline. It reads, chilling revelations on the rise of Fed's Orwellian speech police, saying, quote, a little-known Homeland Security sub-agency has coordinated with federal agencies and with big tech companies to impose a mass public-private surveillance and censorship regime on the American people. This amounts to a conspiracy to violate the First Amendment, resulting in rampant election interference, the stifling of crucial debates, for example, on COVID-19, like I just mentioned, and the chilling of incalculable amounts of speech on much else, all in service of ruling class power. I mean, we don't live in Russia. We do not live in China. And it's incredible how Democrats will actually, frown upon those countries in the way they dictate in these communist countries. But yet here we are in the United States, and they're trying to limit our freedoms, which is shameful.
It is. Think about this, Julie. Think about how many friends you and I have who are afraid to ask a question or post something on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or these others.
For being banned.
Because
they're afraid to get banned.
Exactly. They were afraid what they would do. And look, I was a member of Congress and was actually taken down for a week at a time on stuff that was just simple, making statements against, that you would normally do. This free speech. This is why this is so important. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. People need to be able to ask questions. And so many of those questions that have now been asked 2 years ago were being banned are now being brought out in studies and other things, and they're just sort of ignoring that. It was like, okay, you can't accept it now and not accept it then, and this is the part where government needs to stay out of this, and the social media companies will rise and fall on their own. People will be able to research, hopefully, what they're looking at. And look, the government doing this, and again, only going after those who disagree with them and not giving real reasons why, except, oh, this is disinformation. No, it's only because it disagrees with the political line, the standard party line. Where do you hear that?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Doug Collins, great to see you. Thank you very much.
Good to see you too. Take care.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.